I used to work the night shift at a small petrol station just outside a town called Wilgara, in New South Wales. It wasn't the kind of place you'd stop if you didn't have to, just a dusty little outpost on the edge of nowhere. We had one pump, a tiny counter, and a vending machine that barely worked. It was quiet. Too quiet sometimes. Especially between 2 and 4 a.m. That's what we called the dead stretch. No cars. No road trains. Nothing but wind and the occasional bat slamming into the glass. I was usually alone, unless the manager decided to stop by and check the till, which almost never happened. But one night, something changed. It started when I saw the lights. A pair of headlights about 100 meters down the road. I could tell by the shape, an old Toyota Land Cruiser, maybe 80s model. I waited for it to pull in, but it didn't. It just stopped. Engine running. Headlights pointed straight at the station. No one got out. I waited about 2 minutes before stepping outside. I waved. No response. So I slowly walked toward the vehicle, squinting into the light. And then, just like that, the engine cut out. Headlights off. Total darkness. When my eyes adjusted, I realized something was off. There was no one in the driver's seat. The door was closed. The windows up. But no silhouette. Nothing behind the wheel. It was like the car had been parked by a ghost. I turned around and walked, quickly, back to the station. Locked the door. Turned off the lights inside. Watched from behind the counter. The Land Cruiser stayed there. For another hour. Just sitting. Eventually, I must have nodded off. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up to the sound of the ding, the motion sensor by the pump. Someone was out there. I looked up. The Land Cruiser was gone. In its place stood a man. Tall, thin, gray work jacket. No face visible, just the top of a wide-brimmed hat. He wasn't filling up his car. He had no car. He was just standing there. Motionless. Facing the door. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The ding went off again. But he hadn't moved. Still staring. Then the lights inside flickered. The coffee machine behind me sputtered. And the radio turned on by itself, static only. When I looked again, he was gone. Just gone. Like smoke in the air. No footsteps. No car sounds. Nothing. Morning came. I told the manager. He thought I was messing with him. But that wasn't the last time I saw the Land Cruiser. It showed up 3 more nights. Always the same. Always empty. Always just watching. Until the 4th night? When the station's CCTV stopped recording between 3:11 and 3:17 a.m. And my name was written in dust on the glass door, from the inside. This happened when I worked night shifts at a small aged care home in South Australia, a quiet facility just outside a town called Penfield. We only had 8 residents, all elderly, most with memory loss or early dementia. The place was peaceful, too peaceful sometimes. My shift started at 9 p.m. and ran until 7 in the morning. Most nights, I'd walk the halls once every hour, check on each room, and then sit by the nurse's station with a cup of tea and a muted radio. It was comforting. Until I noticed something I shouldn't have. We had an intercom system, a basic old thing that crackled when anyone pressed the call button from their room. Each room had one intercom button. All were labeled, room 1 through 8. One night, around 2:20 a.m., the light for room 3 lit up on the board. I got up and made my way there. The door was open, as usual. Mrs. Fielding, an 89-year-old who hadn't spoken a word in months, was sitting upright in bed, eyes wide open. She looked directly at me and said, "They keep calling from the other one." I asked, "From the other what?" She looked toward the corner of the room. There was nothing there. Just her cabinet and the standard wall intercom button. I checked the system, no glitches. Walked back to the nurse's station. As I sat down, another intercom buzzed. But this time, the panel didn't show any room number. Just static. And then, a voice. Not one of the residents. Not anyone I recognized. A low, whispering voice said, "You forgot one." I stood up immediately and unplugged the panel. It kept buzzing. The next morning, I reported it. Maintenance checked the wiring and found something strange. A second intercom line had been wired into the panel, unregistered. It didn't lead to any of the 8 rooms. It led to room 9. But we don't have a room 9. Never did. The numbering goes from 1 to 8, then the utility closet. So I opened that closet the next night, during rounds. Behind a stack of boxes, I found an old call button. Covered in dust. Still wired into the wall. Out of curiosity, I pressed it. Nothing happened. Until 2 minutes later, back at the nurse's station, the intercom beeped once. No static. Just a voice. "Thank you for remembering." I've never told anyone this, but since that night, room 3's resident, Mrs. Fielding, began speaking again. Only one word. Repeated. Whenever she heard the intercom. 9. And when I eventually quit that job, they asked me to return my keycard. Except my card had the number 9 engraved on it. And no one, not HR, not the supervisor, could explain why. I used to manage a roadside motel and roadhouse in a remote part of Western Australia, not far from Kalgoorlie. It was the kind of place where truckers came to rest, eat bad food, and sleep a few hours before heading into the next 1,000 kilometers of nothing. I worked night shifts. Just me, the key box, and a grainy monitor connected to 6 security cameras, all black and white. Things were usually uneventful. But one truck kept showing up. It was an old Kenworth. Black with a silver stripe. No logos, no trailer, just the cab. It would arrive around 2:45 a.m., park in Bay 6, and sit there. Lights off. Engine off. No one ever came out. At first, I thought it was a regular who slept in his cab. But when I checked the logs, no one ever came in to check in. And the weirdest part? There were never any tire tracks in the dirt the next morning. Every time I tried to see the driver, the cameras would glitch, just static on cam 3, the one facing Bay 6. So one night, I went out there. 2:46 a.m., the truck rolled in. No lights. No sound. It just appeared. I walked slowly up to the cab. The windows were tinted black. The number 66 was faintly visible near the door. I knocked. No answer. Then I saw something in the reflection of the side mirror. Myself, but standing perfectly still, even though I had just moved. I stepped back. The image stayed frozen. Then, slowly, the driver's side window rolled down, but there was no one inside. The cab was dark. Empty. Except for one thing on the dashboard. A motel key. I took it. Key number 13, but our motel only had 12 rooms. I went back in and checked the logbook from years ago. Nothing. No room 13. No records. No reservations. But on the old blueprint hanging in the office, barely visible beneath a coffee stain, was a scribbled square behind room 12. Room 13. Crossed out. The door to room 12 had a janitor's closet behind it. I unlocked it. It smelled like rust and wet carpet. At the very back of the closet was a sealed wooden panel, painted over a dozen times, but beneath it, the number 13 was carved into the frame. The key fit perfectly. I opened the door. It led to a perfectly intact room. Old 70s wallpaper. Cigarette burns on the carpet. The TV still had knobs. And on the bed? A ledger. A logbook. With hundreds of entries. All the same name. K. Driver, checked in. Never checked out. The next night, the truck came again. I didn't go outside. And I never opened room 13 again. But I still have the key. And every few nights, my phone buzzes at exactly 2:45 a.m. Even though I changed numbers. Even though I never gave my contact to anyone. It buzzes once. And the caller ID? Just 3 letters. Cab.